Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about random topics. Today's topic is quite interesting and one very close to my heart. But there is a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics and I do swear a lot. If you don't feel like listening to that kind of language, oh, how unladylike, I suggest you turn it off, really. I mean, you are a grown-ass adult, so handle your shit. Anyway, so the topic for today is, funny enough I mentioned it, swearing. I enjoy swearing. I like it. I find it's a very nice expression of feeling without, letting it get to the point where you physically maim someone. So, if someone swears, I don't bat an eyelid. I know I come from like a rough background sort of thing. I've got Irish, Cockney culture in me and genetics. So yeah, if swearing's there, we're gonna swear. We've got some wonderful, colourful language in my cultures. I love them. Some of the best things I've ever heard has come out of a Cockney. He's sitting there going, how the fuck did you come up with that? That is just so colourful. Oh great, waiting for a truck to figure out what he's doing. Interesting. So, if you look at it objectively, all it is a bunch of noises. It's a noises that we've assigned a meaning to, and apparently it's an offensive one. I've listened to a lot of noises I find offensive, S Club 7 for one, if anyone's remembering that band. There's a few things I find offensive, noise-wise. Do I, get up people's arse about it? Sometimes. No, not really. Because it would be silly and everyone's allowed to have an opinion. Doesn't make sense to get angsty about noises. Swear words in someone else's language is just a bunch of noises to me if I don't understand the language and I haven't got a context for it. I've learnt some very interesting swear words from different languages I'm having fun with at the moment because I'll just say them randomly and it completely pisses people off or it just bewilders them. So what does that mean? Wouldn't you like to know? Yeah, you can fuck with people, it's great. Oh my god, would you just move? Fucking move! See, this is the best time to use. Oh my god, they're assholes. They're just assholes. The best time I use swearing, and I can't because I'm a teacher at workplace, but the best time to use swearing is when you're driving, isn't it? It's a case of I can't get out of the car to literally beat the shit out of you, so I'm just going to swear at you in my little box, but it's not going to hurt your feelings because you can't hear me. But I really want to hurt you because you're being stupid. It's that, isn't it? It's the perks of swearing. It's so expressive as well. Things weren't just great, they were fucking great, And it adds more meaning and oomph to it. When people get offended, I find that's fascinating. It's like, why are you so offended that I would add extra emphasis to something I thoroughly enjoyed? It's like, oh, you can't say that. Kids love it the best, though. Kids, if you let one slip in front of the kids, they lose their mind. As a teacher, we're not allowed to obviously swear in front of the kids. We're not even allowed to tell them to shut up. Although on occasion I've told them to shut up. I've had to. You just let it slip and you get one of these really talkative kids and they know you and they know what you're like. So it's not a big deal really. Because I like to get one-on-one with the kids. You do have to build a sort of bond with them before they'll be, willing to actually learn from you. It's not just a case of go in a room, feed them information and get on with it. They are hesitant, they come from rough backgrounds most of the times, the ones I deal with. They don't trust anyone, and I don't blame them because I've come from the same fucking background. They will not, cow down to authority unless you make it accessible to them. So, we all come from backgrounds where it's rough, and the kids know what the swearing is. They've got it at home. They've got it as like punctuation at home as well, and they swear themselves, and I don't mind if they do. I don't mind if they swear. I got my year sixes at the moment who's just F and C this and fucking can't, and you sit and think, oh, I know where you got that from. But when you as the teacher who's meant to be the exemplary, let it slip, and they just laugh their ass off because you're not allowed to, even though they will. Middle of the oval when I'm on duty, the words I hear coming out of these kids while they're playing football, it's like, holy shit, dude, where'd you learn that one from? And they've learnt it from their parents or from their siblings or from, cousins, and they all got extended families, and they're fucking huge families crammed in a little building. Of course you're going to pick up some language. It's funny. I laugh my ass off when they swear. I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to tell them off and get them in trouble, but I can't. It's hilarious. It's too funny, some of the shit they come out with. So yeah. So when you drop an F-bomb, and I haven't really dropped an F-bomb before in front of them, but I have told them to shut up, because it just gets so frustrating when they don't stop talking and they'll steamroll over you. These are the kids that they have no respect for authority, because their version of authority is usually an abusive one. And of course I can understand that, having come from it myself. So when you try and assert your dominance in the classroom and you do it politely, they ignore it, because it's like, oh, it's just background noise, it doesn't matter. The only way they really respond is when you raise your voice and you get full abusive with it, and I refuse to do that kind of shit. I've seen some teachers go off on kids, and my mum is a teacher and she goes off on kids, but I refuse to. I don't want to. So I'm more like the cool aunt in the classroom. It's just like, Mrs. So-and-so says don't do it. So I try and get them into alliances with each other, so they can sort of check on each other and keep each other in line, rather than me sitting there being as the top boss telling them what to do. I'd rather them do it as a peer thing, rather than me coming down on them like a ton of bricks. So I'll laugh when they let one slip. And it's usually for good cause. It's not just them fucking around. It's maybe they've hurt themselves, or they've really hurt their feelings or something. It takes a lot to get these kids to hurt their feelings. It's funny how tough they are. It's really weird. They are rough as fuck, and I love them for it, but it shouldn't have to be that way. But when they do swear, it's usually because they've really genuinely done one. So I don't mind when they swear, but you can't tell them to shut up. And the other day, actually it was a few months ago now, because I had this kid called what's his name, Romeo. Hilarious. I know, I get the weird names. Romeo, Lyric, Shaquille. You're sitting there going, what the fuck is happening with these kids? But he just wouldn't stop. He had more rabbit than Sainsbury's. It's just like, shut up, mate. It's blah, 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 blah. And I said, and I said it under my breath so he could barely hear me. And I said, just shut up, Romeo. And the class went dead silent. It's like, how the fuck did you all hear that? Because they don't expect the teacher to do it. Wasn't even a swear word. And I tell the kids when they're in year 1 and 2, and they come up to me and say, so and so swore at me, and I say, is it really swearing, or is it just not a nice word? And they said, and I asked them, what did they say? They said, shut up. And I'm like, that's not a swear word, but that's just not a nice thing to say, is it, really? Because we've got to be nice, haven't we? But they're having trouble discerning. In the, I say posher schools, and I have worked in some, well-funded schools up in Applecross and places like that, where they got the money and there are tighter restrictions on behaviour, I have to say. I love the low SES schools, I do, because the kids get away with murder, and as long as they're not killing each other, it's a riot, it's fun. We're just happy that they're happy at that stage, because the background they're coming from is mental. But with the Applecross, it's a suburb up near the river, near Perth City. It's the money area. The parents are so anal, and the kids aren't allowed to fart without making a vast apology in essay format, and it's ridiculous, I'm sitting there. And you would never dream of saying shut up in front of the kids. But God, when I look at these kids, I'm like, I wish you could just unclench. I know the pressure you're getting from your family when you get home, but your kids still, and it drives me nuts. Christ. I feel for them, because it's a whole different set of, as far as I can see it, abuse. It's having too tight a leash on your kids. Whereas down in the low SES area, it's a tight leash, but it's a different type of tight leash. It is control. It's in the upper areas, it's control to perform, and in the lower areas, it's control to conform. Perform versus conform, and the lower areas is often beaten, and the upper areas is just, you see signs of neglect even in the upper areas. It's emotional neglect and abandonment. When you don't live up to their standards, they'll ignore you, or they'll be disappointed and stuff like that. And these kids in the upper would not compare, in my opinion, to the ones in the lower for resilience. which kind of sets up a discussion for the white elephant in the room, which is how do you build resilience with these kids that just got no gauge on what real life is going to be like when they get out. They're assuming that these kids will stay in these softer conditions, which is not true. I was born into an area called Subiaco, which is an affluent area, with the idea that my dad would be a full-time accountant for an accountancy firm. And my mum would be the stay-at-home one, and we would have this whole lifestyle which would be, you know, upper. The reality is my parents moved to a lower area. We went into poverty cycle, and my dad had a nervous breakdown, and we were sat on welfare for a shitload of my developing years. And I mean, bearing in mind, this is where I get most of my skill set from, which I fucking love, is everything I've got and everything I learned is useful to me. Now as an adult, I know it's deemed survival skills, but at the same time it's fucking useful. I know that any kid that grew up in that top area would not survive the bottom area, and that's what I love about being in that. I'm not ennobling the poverty cycle or anything like that. I do believe still it's something you shouldn't sit in if you can get out, and you should always be trying to get out. It's low quality of life. There's a lot of illness, there's a lot of going without and malnutrition, shit like that, and it's not something that's fun. But I do respect a certain level of toughness over, you know, posh people that have never been faced with any kind of adversity in their life. I will always respect someone who's gone through shit in their life. These people that come out of fucking existence with never having anything wrong, or if they've got like one thing that went wrong in their life when they were a fucking kid, and then they milk it for the rest of their life, that shit gets up my ass. I'm like, that was one thing 20 years ago. Stop it. Stop it. Grow up. This is too far. This is too much now. Meanwhile, in that 20 years, someone who's had a so-called normal life has had like a billion things go wrong and everything's fucking tits up and things like that. I will always respect someone who's gone through a lot of hell to get to where they need to get to. I mean, everybody loves a comeback story, really, don't they? I mean, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Someone's going through their dark night of the soul and they've come out of there like a fucking phoenix. Is beautiful. Oh, look, someone set fire to the bush over there. Ooh, that's not a burn off. Welcome to Australia. Random fires. Oh, they nearly burnt the sea rescue building. Okay, anyway. What did you guys do on the weekend? We set fire to shit. It's Australia Day. Yeah, there's firebugs in my area apparently. So, you know, I have no problem with people swearing. I like it. It's just another version of colourful expression to me. It's just like art. Some of the phrases some people come up with, particularly if you living in the UK, okay? Each region, whether you're hanging out with Scousers or you're hanging out with Cockneys or you got fucking, oh Christ, what are they in Cornwall? I don't fucking know. But they've all got their own turn of phrase where they've got their own swearing and they've got their own phrases which are involving swearing and things like that. It's so fucking colourful. And then you need like a translator to understand what's going on. You're like, what the fuck did that mean? And then they actually draw a picture. It's like, oh, right, okay, well that's great. I'm going to use that one. I'll try and remember that one. I like it. They come up with some really creative stuff. I mean, bearing in mind, what was it like growing up? I mean, anyone who's had some kind of authoritarian. I got to remember now. Is it authoritative? No, authoritarian is the dictator one. Authoritative is the one you can go to for advice. I had authoritarian. There's the dictator one that's going to keep you suppressed. Parents, should I say? I had authoritarian parents. Whereas if you swore, you were punished. And my parents used to go through like washing your mouth out with soap. You used to get hit. You used to get shit taken off you. It was. I remember howling, screaming, crying when my mum used to wash our mouth out with liquid soap because it burnt. It wasn't just a bad taste; it actually burnt, and especially if it got into sinuses, it was fucking caning. And my mum would use it as a means to try and get us to stop swearing. It didn't stop us swearing; we just didn't swear around her. It was stupid. It's like I'll just swear around my siblings. I don't give a fuck. There's got to be a softer touch version of doing that, because then it just made me, you know, not like her. It's like I'm having fun. I like these words. It's rude and it's funny, and it's funnier because it's rude and taboo. So I'm just gonna go with it. But I used to get physical pain. Oh, hello, someone's had an accident. Have they? No, I think they've just stolen a car. I'm literally sitting next to a red stolen sedan, which looks like it's been dumped. Okay. Anyway, fun Australia. I'm surprised. I guarantee you by the end of the week that will have been burnt out. I guarantee you. Someone will smash the window, steal the tires, take the shit out the engine, what they need, and it will be a fucking fire if the cops don't get it first. I mean, that's what they used to do when I was growing up. If anyone's car got missing or went missing, you are not going to find it till the end of the week, and it will be in the bushes, and it will be a burnt out shell, devoid of tires and parts. And that was just what the guys did on the weekend. It's like, and sometimes it was an insurance job as well. So, you know, some people would ask other people to come and do it because they couldn't pay off the car. It's like, can you come and steal my car, please? I remember doing that when I was in my last block of flats. Some guy couldn't pay off his car, so he just left it out the front of ours on the verge. And he just sat there, and the police came and checked it. They stuck the sticker on it, and then someone stole it and torched it. And he said, oh no, it's stolen. Oh no, now it's burnt out. And he got the shitload of money for it. It was hilarious. So it was more like renting a car than actually owning one. I'm not saying that's a good idea. It's completely illegal, but it does happen where I used to live. I live in a slightly better area now. I just thought it was funny. It's probably not funny. I've just got a weird sense of humor. But these things we take as normal, and people look at you shockingly and go, oh my God, that's illegal. It's like, well, it is a shithole area. What are you expecting? Fucking cotton candy on the street corner when it should be meth. Right, I don't think so. Here, kids, have some cotton candy. That's meth. Don't want that. My mum's got that. But, you know, you make jokes about it because it's a traumatic experience. We've got to make jokes, otherwise we'll just, you know, top ourselves or something like that, probably. Or your life will spiral into what your parents are. So you make jokes about it, you acknowledge it, you don't do it yourself, and you move on. You get the fuck out of there as fast as you can. That's what I keep telling my kids. That's what I keep saying. Every time their parents drop them off at school and they got black teeth and fucked up skin, you go, right, you don't want this life. Believe me, I know where this is going. You do not want it. So you're trying to push them as far as you can to get somewhere, right? And it's a moral obligation at that stage, not just, you know, I'm getting paid for this. These are my kids while they're in the classroom, I swear. Unfortunately, I do have to hand them back to the meth head parents at the end of the day, which is bullshit. But I got them again the next day, so I can try again the next day, and that's what I like doing about my job. Got some fucked up scenarios. Oh my God. I don't know if you listened to my teaching podcast I did right at the start, first episode, I think. But the amount of things you hear about in the classrooms, like kids that have had their mum hang themselves and they just come in the next day like nothing happened. You're going, are you sure you should be here? It's like, well, I had nowhere else to go. And it's like, fucking hell. And so that kid definitely gets to sit on the beanbag all day and eat fruit out the freezer from the crunch and sip. You know, he's like, you don't have to do a fucking thing today. I'm glad you're here, quite frankly, because it feels safer than putting you back in your home, you know? That was a weird day. That was a girl called Harlow. I fucking love that girl. Anyway, she coming from a fucked up family, man. It's a horrible experience you get as a teacher. It's not just a case of, oh, your child's talking in class, how awful. Send them to the principal. It's like, genuinely, this kid's mum hung herself the day before and she came into school anyway because she had nowhere else to go. That's fucked up, right? It's not just me. But, you know, I mean, and swearing is part of the job, really. I mean, you go through these, most people have gone through a rough job or a rough area of a job. Like anyone who works in, I suppose, ER or AE has picked up some language, I'll bet, dealing with some rough people. Accident, emergency, they come in, they're all drugged up and stuff like that. You're going to have a rougher view of what people are like. I know my friend Chrissy, my gay friend Chrissy, I love him. He's fabulous. But at one point, before he was a nurse, he was a paramedic. And he would deal with the meth heads and stuff like that. And he'd be dragging them in and they'd be dosed out of their fucking mind. And he'd have to restrain them and stuff like that. And he's only, what, my height? He's only about 5'6" himself. I'm 5'4". But he's, yeah. He's not slight though, which is good. But you know, he would have to restrain him and stuff, and try and be nice in the process. Stop these meth heads trying to stab him and shit like that with needles. I'm going, Jesus Christ, Chris, you gotta get out of there. But he's got a mouth on him too. But he's wonderfully what do they call it? Flamboyant. When he gets going, I love that. But he's come from a rough area. He's from, where is he from? My family comes from Essex, Grays area. Grays, Essex area. My dad and my mum was a Millwall fan. My dad was is a West Ham fan. So we're all West Ham fans. My gay friend Chrissy's dad is a West Ham fan, like die-hard West Ham fan. So we get along like that. Me and his dad get along. And I have a feeling, like, before his mum died, she liked me. And it would have been a nice thing if Chris hadn't been gay to sort of, you know, match up the two West Ham. Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's like, you like this, you like this. Of course you're going to get together and it'll work. But no, Chris turned out to be gay, and, you know, it was a bit of a shock to his mum. But yeah, he's gone through some rough stuff. His mum only died a few years ago from, I think it was ovarian cancer or something like that. But no, you bunch together because you've got stuff in familiar, and he's been my friend since like year 8, 9, year 9. What was that, like 14? 37 now. So when you go through these horrible, rough experiences, but you make friends, and you make friends for life. And there's a lot of people that come from fucked up backgrounds that will make friends for life because, you know, some call it trauma bonding. I don't think it's the right kind of meaning for it, but you know, fucked up experiences and fucked up circumstances will build alliances for a lifetime if you let them. As long as you can look after each other and make sure you're keeping your nose clean, doing the right thing. Nobody's trying to fuck each other over. You can build some great friendships from horrible scenarios. That's what I don't understand, like with social groups, like the one I left as soon as I walked in, trying to make friends with this social group. This was my ex-boyfriend's social group. And they all worked in the same pub, and it's like, oh cool, social group, we can all hang out and have a few drinks and then go home, right? Yeah, sure, fuck. But as soon as you walk in, suddenly it's competition and there's nastiness and it's backstabbing and trying to steal each other's boyfriends and shit like that. And I just went, look mate, I've been through enough shit. I don't want these people as friends. These are not my people. So I don't want this. And the fact that, you know, when a few of the girls started really getting into my boyfriend at the time and trying to, you know, get with him, shall we call it. Whether they did or not, I don't know, but there was evidence all over my fucking apartment, and I'm just like, fuck this. I'm pretty sure he cheated on me at this stage, given all the evidence and the way he is. I'm like, you fucker. But you don't want to believe it, do you? But these are not the people you want to hang around. These are not the people that are going to help you survive anything. These fuckers are fair weather friends, and they're going to use you and take your money and take your boyfriend to have one over on you and fuck you off. So these are not the people you want. So I learned that one the hard way. Left that group about a year ago. I didn't really have any depth to that group anyway. I wasn't really invested in it because they're all in their early to mid 20s. And I'm going, dude, I'm nearly 40. I'm not interested in this shit. I'm interested in getting my home, getting my stability. Fuck my career, it's a job, but you know, working on my businesses is more interesting than my job. I know my job is a job. When it comes to looking at employment career-wise, I'm there for the kids. I'm not there really for any kind of advancement. But it's the pettiness. And that shit will teach you to swear. You're like, what the fuck? But anyway, I'm sorry, I've gone off the tangent again. I'm so old. Anyway, but there's nothing wrong with swearing. You got to find the right context and things. I don't agree with these posh people that are like, oh, we don't swear. Do you have to? It's like, yes, I do, actually, because I've come from real life experiences that haven't been cushioned in any fucking way. I don't have a trust fund to back me up, and I've had some fucked up experiences. And if I feel like swearing and it means that I can exist without hacking your face off, I'm going to. Okay, stop being up your own ass. Get the fuck away from me. So I can't stand rich people. I can't. They're so disingenuous. And I've had an education. I've gone through uni. I've done all that thing. So I have the potential to get up into that social class if I wanted to. Just on merit, basically. I can afford a good job if I wanted to. But I couldn't stand the social circles they run in. My ex-husband was all about those social circles as well. He was a social climber. He just, as soon as he started training people that had money, like he was training people up close to, like, I think it's Peppermint Grove or something like that, somewhere north of the river as well. So I knew it was a rich area because he got invited to things that were like, you sit there and go, ooh, okay, that's fancy. But as soon as he started doing that, he started getting materialistic about it. Not that he wanted to do the work to get to that position. He didn't want the same qualifications or anything as them. He wanted to fuck his way into it, essentially, is what I gathered from it. Because that's why he was banging his clients. I hate that man. I hate him so much. But I think it's natural at this point, you know, given 16 years of commitment and, you know, hand and foot treatment. Not just medical hand and foot. Oh, that's foot and mouth. Wait, hang on. But, you know, it was crazy. He doesn't want... There are lots of people that don't want to do the work but want the rewards. But they're willing to shag their way into it. And I'm sitting there going, you aren't that good. Why do you think that's worth... And who's to say these same people won't just exploit that and fuck you off in the end anyway? I don't understand that. You assume you are that good that they would keep you. When in reality, you're fucking disposable, dude. It's like, if you make yourself as disposable as that without putting the effort in, and all they see is, I don't know, for example, this girl called Billy who was at the pub in the last social group, she was touching every guy she could get her hands on. And I said, that's not the way to find a boyfriend. And I got shit for it. I was called a slut shamer or some shit like that. I don't give a fuck. If you wear the uniform, darling, I'm going to call you it. And it's not just the girls in that group as well. The boys were the same. They were disgusting. But she was just pouring any guy she could get her hands on. And this is a prime example. This is what pissed me off, because she would do it to my ex-boyfriend. And I would get pissed off because I'm sitting right next to him and he wasn't doing anything to stop her doing it. And she would just grope him and touch him. And, oh, isn't this cute? And aren't we all friendly? And I'm like, sweetheart, no. That's how you lose a fucking hand where I come from. Isn't it fun? Aren't we hugging? Isn't this great? It's like, aren't we all friends here too? It's like... Right, point out your boyfriend, bitch, because I'm going to show you just how bad this fucking is. I don't know, maybe I won't lower myself to that level, but it was really deeply insulting, because she knew that was my boyfriend at the time. She knew that I would get upset for it, because I had got upset for it before, because when she first met him, like when we first all met up as a group, she came up, great big hug and like hanging on him and, oh my god, ah. You know, those dumb bitch girls that want to die. But, you know, she did the whole petty thing. And I started crying because I was fresh out of a divorce from a non-monogamous asshole. And I was drunk at the time, to be honest. And I started crying because I was sitting there saying, and I was trying to laugh it off as well. I'm sitting there going, is this an ex-girlfriend sort of thing? This is really, oh wow, this has really flared up my insecurities. Is this, you know, like an ex-girlfriend or something, or a friend? And he's like, oh no, that's just everyone. She does it to everyone. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, so maybe this is the kind of person she is. And I tried to let it slide, and I'm sitting there going, every time she did it, I'm like, this fucking hurts, dude. And he did nothing to stop her. He thought it was hilarious. And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Do you have any consideration for me or him or any kind of relationship? Or is this just all about you, you narcissistic, you stroking bitch? And she knew it got up my ass, and she did it anyway. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? At some point, you're going to touch the wrong guy, he's going to take it the wrong way, and you're not going to be able to say no. And I thought, I know it sounds harsh, but where I come from, that's what happens. Girls, I've got those kind, and it's not right. To be honest, you should be able to not do everything. You've got to respect people's boundaries, for fuck's sake. But you should be able to, you know, wear what you want or whatever, I'm assuming, without these shit happening. But at the same time, it's like you're sending the wrong message. You're saying that you will fuck just about anything because you will not keep your fucking hands to yourself. And you're hurting other people in the process who are trying to build a life with this other person. And at the time, you know, I was deeply upset, and I'm still kind of hurt by it now because it was just another form of bullying as far as I'm concerned. It's like, you knew this affected me, you did it anyway because you knew if I stood up and said something, I would look like the asshole and I would look like I'm insecure and stuff like that. It's deeply hurting me. But fuck it, I'll let it slide. And I let it slide and slide and slide. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure she was the one that was fucking my ex-boyfriend. Anyway. So I'm like, you know what? In the end, you did me a favor because you showed me what kind of a guy he was. You showed me what kind of a group this is. And every one of these fuckers that went along with it, fuck them, because they were just accessories. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? When I leave this, there's nothing to lose. I have no guilt. I'm not going to help any of you fuckers. And I could have as well, because I've been in similar scenarios and backgrounds to all these fuckers. I could have helped, like one of them was doing online businesses and stuff like that. I have a background in it. I could have helped you. One of them was a painter. I could have helped you sell your paintings. One of them was going back to school to try and be a teacher. I could have helped you. I am a teacher. It's like all these things I could have helped them with, but because they were so fucking nasty and bitchy and horrible human beings in general, I just said, fuck it, all of you are on your own, deal with it. So I don't know where the fuck they are now. I know that one of them got fired. Billy got fired, actually. She went off to work somewhere else. And then 6 months later, it closed. Can't think why. But at the same time, it's like, why the nastiness? It's not needed. You know, it's just not needed. I don't understand why anyone does it. Anyway, so I know this has been a long tangent where I've talked about swearing. I'm just saying, I always get these personal overshare experiences, and this, yeah. I do overshare, I don't know that. It's probably because I'm usually dead silent when I'm not on my own or driving somewhere. I'm an introvert, I don't talk much. I really don't. I went to a Fleetwood Mac tribute band last night. And I just stood there and I sat for about 2 or 3 hours, and everybody else was dancing around and everything like that. I'm just enjoying the music and I'm bopping along, but I'm not going crazy like they are, and I must look like a real weirdo. But I don't exert myself, I don't put myself in other people's areas and bubbles and conversations, things like that. When I go somewhere, I just want to enjoy the music. I come there for one directive and that's about it. So, hence the reason why I babble shit when I'm around you guys. Because it's just you, me, and this weird speakerphone. To sum up, because I've just pulled up and I've got to do a post office thing. There's nothing wrong with swearing, but you got to use it in the right context. And yes, it is an artistic expression of feeling, as far as I'm concerned. And everyone who's been through some rough fucking backgrounds, you deserve the right to swear, because at this point, most days it's me stopping myself from hurting someone physically, because I can just go, fuck. So it's a control mechanism, or self-control mechanism. And anyone who tells you that you're wrong for swearing, tell them to fuck off. Because it's not their life. And I'm sorry, yes, it is a very abrasive way to do it. And, you know, if anyone in some upper crust, whatever it is, society tells you, oh, it's not, you know, it's not polite to swear. It's like, who says I'm trying to be polite? I've earned the right not to be polite at this stage. I didn't have a trust fund. I didn't have daddy paying me out. I've been through some fucked up life experiences, and if you don't think I have the right to swear, see what happens when I don't swear. I mean, the language is going to come out. It's either going to be with my mouth or my fist. You make your mind up. This comes from what a very slight, what is it, a 5'4" petite redhead. It's like, I'll fuck you up. Brandishing a soldering iron. Oh my god. I have rage issues. I know where it comes from. If you ever listened to the Berserker podcast before this, you know where my rage issues come from. But I get narky when someone says, you're not allowed to swear. So you go, first of all, don't ever tell me what the fuck to do. I don't defer to you or anyone. I defer to me. And second of all, stop being a pretentious wanker. Everyone swears. You swear, you just keep it in your head. Maybe. I don't know. My kids swear. Swearing's just fun. Just let it go, man. So I'm going to have to leave it there. I'm hoping you guys have a fantastic day. Swear a lot, fuck it. Rebel. If you ever look online, there is a whole series. I cannot remember what it's called. It's probably called something like As Easy as Swear Words or something like that. Where the Americans have episode by episode, dissected each swear word. I remember seeing it on Netflix, I think, like that. So there is a documentary out there. It's like a series as well. But they tell you where it comes from and what context it's used in, what it means, and all these different things. Urban Dictionary's got some fun ones in there as well, actually. I like, Urban Dictionary. You learn some new ones all the time. That's where I learnt about fuckboy. I'm sitting there going, oh, there's a word for it now. Okay. So do look around. Bearing in mind you are just exploring culture and other people's heritage and things like that, and linguistics that come with it. And it's only colloquialisms, so don't stress too much. It's just noises gathered together to cause an effect. So if anyone gets up their own arse about it, say a bunch of random words and confuse them. So throw some glitter in their face and tell them to fuck off. People are silly. This is human nature. We're all having a human experience. Just go with it, right? Try not to hurt anyone. Generally, that is the rule. But if you're having fun, you're having fun, aren't you? I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll try and do another podcast on the way back. Hopefully one that probably has more meaning. I don't know. Possibly with less rambling. I don't know. All right, I'm going to leave it there.